Okay, well, welcome back. It is time to get ready for sweet potato harvest. I'm gonna put on my sunglasses. I'm kind of squinting. First thing I do before we get ready to harvest is take all these wood bins you see behind me that I've got inside and move them outside. So that's what I'm doing today. We got to bring them out, flip them around. Some of them are upside down. You'll see why here in a minute, and I'll show you that. Get them right side up, get them stacked up here for easy access. When we get ready to start harvesting, we can just pull up beside these stacks here and load them on our trailer and take them to the field. So this video, we're going to show you what's the process that we have leading up to potato harvest. Starting with this, checking the potatoes in the field, cutting the vines, running the coulter, that kind of thing. All those things we do getting ready to harvest. When we get ready to harvest, we'll put out a new video on just the harvest part. Also, we're going to show you our cabbage planting here in this video. It's kind of happening at the same time, so we'll get you some video of that, transplanting our cabbage, green and purple cabbage. So our subscriber numbers are going up. I appreciate that. If you would subscribe to us, that would be great. And I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, we stack them inside to store them for the winter in stacks like this. So it looks like it's 3, but it's really 4 because there's 1 inside, there's 2 in the bottom, and then that 1 in the middle is turned upside down. So we gotta flip all that around and get them out and stack them upright so they'll be ready to go. We put one inside the other for obviously because we can store more in a smaller space, get more in there. Because, you know, really this is a space of 3, but there's 1 inside here, so you get 4 stacked in a space that would take up 3. Okay, after we've taken the box off the top, you know, like that one, after this one is gone, then we will pick this one up. You know, it's upside down. You got to be kind of careful picking this one up so it doesn't hang up on the one that's inside. See there's one sideways inside of that one. We repair these bins every year at the end of the potato season before we put them back into storage. So you know, when we bring them out, they're ready to go. We don't have to do anything to them. The only ones we use in the summer are the ones we use for the watermelons, but we don't use that many of them, and we'll repair them a little bit if we need to before we put potatoes in them, but the rest of them are ready to go. All right, today is Monday, the 9th of September, and we're planting the cabbage. If you remember, I watered it, sprayed it like I did the greens a few videos ago. After I sprayed it, killed it back pretty good, and then it rained, and we had kind of a new flush of peas. So we planting them right now, and I'm gonna probably come plow them maybe this afternoon, get rid of those peas as much as I can, and then we're gonna water them, and then we'll come back maybe in a few days once it dries up, maybe even a week or so, and hoe them what's left. These are the little plugs, cabbage plants. We plant them 24 inches apart. You can see right here in the middles, some of that green is the volunteer peas. So we plant, the variety is Cheers, green cabbage. We do plant a little bit of purple, it's Red Jewel. And you can see the guys down there taking a water break. These cabbage should be ready around Thanksgiving. Kind of depends on the temperatures. If we get these off to a good start and don't have any trouble with them, then I think they'll be ready about then. The temperatures have been unseasonably cool at night here in the last few days. Still gets up pretty warm in the afternoons. We've got some rain chances coming in a few days, but I think I may water them just in case. When I get back to the shop, I'll show you what the little plugs look like. They're just kind of bare rooted plugs. It's one of the few things that I don't do myself. I order these out of Florida and they ship them to me. It's just as easy to let them do it, because if you remember from my video last year, tried to plant them earlier and it was too hot. Even when we grow them ourselves, it's so hot in August, and it's just easier for me just to order them and not worry about it. So that's what I do. It works out pretty good. Come through with my wheel and punch these holes ahead of the guys, and then they come back and fill it in. That's what they're doing down there. These last two rows will be the purple, and it may not go all the way, and then we'll fill the rest of it in with green. I really want to figure out a way to get the cabbage ready when my sweet potatoes are ready, so I can sell them retail at the same time. That's what I was trying to do last year, if you watch my video from last year. And it was record temperatures in August, and I planted them first week of August and they fried. So I had to replant them now, first week of September, which is normal. So I decided just to go back to the normal time, but that means I can't get them ready in time to sell with the sweet potatoes, because we're usually sold out by Thanksgiving. You know, I don't know if it would ever work out to have them ready by then. Maybe I could just plant a few and try to get them ready. I know I could sell a lot of them to the people coming in, getting potatoes every day and going to pick greens. I know they would, because they ask about them. I used to have them where they could see them when they were picking the greens, so I moved them, because everybody would ask about them, but they wouldn't be ready. So anyway, we're gonna get this knocked out and get it plowed. I might get you a little video of that here in a little while. Still picking watermelons. is probably my last week. We've been on it every day for about a month. I'm taking this trailer back to the shop. Okay, this is what these plugs looks like. That's how they send them to me. And today's Monday. We started before the end of the week last week, and we'll finish up today. But these little dirt root balls are still wet. And they've come all the way from Florida. I haven't done anything to them. I just leave them in this box here. These are the purple over here, same way. They got a nice, pretty color to them. All right, we got the rolling cultivator hooked up. It gets real close to those little cabbage plants, so I'm going slow so I don't cover them up. We tried to make the holes as straight as possible. That's what happens when you're plowing with the 4-row or 8-row and you're planting or punching the holes with the 1-row. You gotta really keep them straight, because so they'll, you don't get off and end up covering something up. But these plants, I think I'm definitely going to have to water them, because they're stressed. Of course, they're going to stress usually anyway, because it's just the shock of planting them. But even though it's not really hot, it's real bright and sunny, and it is a little bit dry. So I think I'm going to water them when we get through, and it'll soak good overnight. And I probably won't leave it on, but probably won't take it 5 or 6 hours maybe. And but that water will soak those beds good overnight. So we'll see what it looks like in the morning. Hopefully it'll be good and they'll perk up a little. You can see right behind the tractor here is the 2 rows of the purple, and then everything else is green. It is getting a lot of those peas, so that's good. That'll just be less for us to have to hoe. This year we planted 4 rows of cabbage and skipped 3. 4, skip 3, 4, skip 3. Last year I only skipped 2, and I had trouble with some of the guys that would come and get a load with their trailers being a little too wide. The 2 rows is perfect for a tractor or a truck, but it doesn't give you any wiggle room. So this year I skipped 3. We'll knock those beds down flat and make it flat in that area whenever it gets time to get ready to harvest. When we're watering, we water every row, even the middles that don't have anything on them, because it's too much pressure on the well to plug those holes there, because the field's only 3 or 4 acres. So that's how we do that. All right, now we are in the potato field. I've got my shovel and gonna dig a few samples. I've been looking at them the last couple of days and kind of show you what that looks like. My plan is to bring the vine cutter down here in the morning and cut a test strip, but for now we're gonna dig a little bit with the shovel. All right, you can see how these vines have kind of turned a little bit of yellow color, kind of a sign of maturity. You'd probably notice it a little better if it wasn't cloudy, but instead of being their dark, normal, lush green color, they're kind of yellowish, bronzish. Some of it's kind of orange. That's pretty much a sign that they're about ready. That and the number of days on the calendar. These are definitely ready. You see that? There's 4, 5, 6 right here under this one hill. I'll take that every time. Cover them back up. Okay, in the morning, I'm gonna bring my flail mower. What we're gonna do is we'll start on one end, go about 1/3 of the way down. It's a 4-row flail mower, so it'll cut 4 rows at a time. We'll get out, I'll dig some up, and it's easier to see when the vines are not there. You can kind of go straight down the row, you know, dig up 10 or 15 feet on each row, get a sample of what it looks like, and then we'll go to the middle of the field, to the other end. Sometimes the soil types will vary just a little bit. Closer to the river is against the levee, it's a little bit different than the other end. Not a lot, but a little bit. So sometimes the size will be a little bit different, but you got to kind of pick a happy medium. So I think we're ready. We'll know more in the morning, and you'll be able to see them a little better too when we lay them out. I was passing by and thought I'd stop and show you a little update on the greens field. We got about 1 inch of rain from the remnants of hurricane this week. We were on the western side, so we didn't get any kind of bad weather or anything, but we did get a little bit of rain. That'll help them, help the cabbage too, even though we just watered them. It'll keep them perked up and give them a lot of supplemental moisture. But we've gone through and hoed these once, and they really look nice. Still need to grow for a few more weeks though. Okay, next morning, got the flail mower hooked up, made a little test strip, and got the shovel with me, see what it looks like. Right, just got through digging some up. I'm gonna show you. Sweet potatoes are never really uniform. They're not like Irish potatoes or other kind of potatoes. They're kind of all over the place. So I'll kind of show you what we pick up and what we would leave in the field. All right, I took a 4-row sample. This is the first row. You know, this stuff like here is something you would leave. Something like this probably would leave in the field. Maybe a little bit of stuff like this. These rows over here look a little better. You can see you got a lot of good number 1s. That's a borderline number 1 jumbo. You're always going to have some little stuff like this. Little stuff like this. All these are good number 1s. Small number 1s there. This is a hill what you would wish everyone looked like. And there's probably 8 or 9 there, and you got you a jumbo here. So they definitely are ready. All right, what I'm gonna do is test each end of the field, north, south, east, and west side, and make sure there's not any big difference. And if they look okay, we're gonna go ahead and cut all the vines. What the mower's doing too is it gets all this stuff, except for right on next to the row, and it'll leave little short pieces. And we'll come back. The tractor just pulled up down there with a coulter rig. I'll show you that here in a little while. And we run blades on each side of the row to cut some of those vines that are down in here. This is not a true potato deviner, it's just a flail mower. I just use what I have. I've always used this. It works pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Today is day 104. Last year we cut the vines on the same day, 104 days from when we finished transplanting. The calendar is usually pretty good. Now when you get down to the end, sometimes you have to leave them if they need to size up a little more. We've had some unseasonably cooler weather the last week, which has helped them size up. They size up good when the temperature is not blazing hot, especially at night, so I think that's helped us. And we've got good moisture. So I'm pretty confident, but we're still gonna make a round with the cutter and check them with the shovel, and then we'll go from there. I think we're gonna go ahead. I believe they look fine. I don't think there's any point in waiting anymore. You know, obviously when you cut the vines, that's it, the potatoes don't grow anymore, so that's why it's critical to do it at the right time. And when you have variation in the potatoes, which you always do, you gotta try to pick a happy medium, and sometimes that can be a little difficult, but I feel pretty confident, so I'm going ahead. Are cut, so that's done, and we're running the coulter. He's right behind me. He's on the other end of the field. When he gets back down here, I'll give you a little close-up view of what we're doing and kind of explain it a little, and then that'll be all we're going to do here. We will let the potatoes sit for a few days to toughen up the skin. The skin's real sensitive right now. If you rub your finger on it, it would kind of scratch it off. So we want to let them sit a little bit and toughen that skin up, and then we'll start on the harvest. There's just a little small coal root. See how I scratch my thumb on there and it peels that skin back? That's what I'm talking about. You got to let that toughen up and harden up, because you don't want to scratch them up, you know, when you're harvesting. Even though we pick them up by hand, you can still scar them when you're dumping them and all that. Not as bad as the mechanical diggers though. Those coulters, you can see it running right there. It cuts all this. You can see the blades. We do it on both sides of the road, so it cuts all this, so there's not a lot of pieces of vines that are long that'll get bogged up in our plow when we pop the potatoes out of the ground. Kind of see it right here. It's might be a little hard to see, but all this is not attached to that up there anymore, so it just makes it easier. And if you didn't, it would bog down and clog up, and whether you were running a mechanical digger or some kind of plow that pops the potatoes up. A true devining potato cutter would have those coulters mounted on the front, and you would do them kind of all in one pass. But since my flail mower is not a real vine cutter, doesn't have that, and so we just do it separate. It's not that big a deal. It's not like we got hundreds of acres here to do, so it doesn't take that long. We just make 2 separate trips. The potato deviner would get more of these vines than what I get with the flail mower, but I just go with what I got, and it works. It's not perfect, but it works. So these vines will dry down after we let them sit a few days, and they'll look different. They still look green now because we just cut them, but they'll dry down and look different, and it won't be as much vegetation on the top, because even though we just cut the vines, it looks like a lot of the foliage is still on top of the row, but a lot of it is loose and cut, you know, and dead, even though it looks like it's kind of all still attached. So it'll definitely look different in a few days. So we're going to end the video here. Next thing will be harvest. The weather forecast looks pretty good. It'll take us more than a week to harvest. Right now, long range forecast looks good, so hopefully we won't have any problems there. It's been unseasonably cooler, I mentioned that. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going back to hotter about the time we get ready to start harvesting, which doesn't matter, other than it makes it a little harder on the guys working. And I think they would have loved to have done it this past week, but they weren't ready. So thank y'all for watching. It's been a great year for us so far. This is kind of a last hump we got to get over on the potato harvest, and once that's done, it's kind of downhill from there. We still got to sell them, box them and sell them. Still got our cabbage, greens, but the stress of the getting things done in a timely manner is kind of over if we can get the potatoes harvested. So subscribe to us if you have not. Thank y'all for watching again, and see y'all next time.